It's not learned helplessness. It's that these people are functionally impotent.
You know, he should not be saying that because Asmongold, we're going to watch a video of Asmongold after this. It's on the Iran war. And he's functionally impotent on the Iran war. He is so, like, he is a flat earther. On Iran, Asmongold is a flat earther. Okay, now let's go into a video that's going to annoy the shit out of me.
So right now, there's more than
U.S. military is different, the precision, man.
that remain stuck in the Persian Gulf.
I guess so.
Many loaded with oil and fertilizer. Typically, about 140 ships transit the Strait of Hormuz.
Okay, this is the first thing that really annoys me.
Each state bill today.
140? Well, now it's 139.
Now it's 139. Can anyone tell me, anyone chat, what's wrong with that? What the Fox News reporter was saying was before the war, you had over 100 ships. There's some smaller ships. So it's about 140 ships transit the Strait of Hormuz. Nowadays, it's nowhere near that. It's not 139 ships. If there was 139 ships crossing the Strait of Hormuz, we'd be all set. That'd be back to normal. That'd be good. The problem is it's more like 7 ships or 10 ships. And that is why the world is getting fucked right now, because of missing oil, missing natural gas, missing fertilizer, missing helium. And you have Asmongold actually say, well, now there's 139 ships. This Fox reporter was talking about before the war started, there were 140. There's not 139 ships crossing now.
U.S. ceasefire appears to have ended. The UAE has a...
But this is a real problem. This is... The figure, 140 ships crossing the Strait of Hormuz, has been repeated, even in mainstream media, since the war started. It should be, yeah, that's how many ships were before, this is how many are now. Asmongold just saying those words, well, now it's 139 ships crossing the Strait of Hormuz, it makes absolutely bloody no sense. Isn't there a common sense filter in his mind that says, what I said made absolutely no sense?
Attacked Iran too. So now we have new countries that are actively attacking Iran. Holy fuck. Is there information about this? Yeah, I don't know.
And no, it's not the first time countries attacked Iran. Before the ceasefire, the Gulf states, like a day or two before the ceasefire, they struck one oil facility, one island in Iran. So it's not the first time they do something, if they did participate in these strikes.
I'll look this up and see if I can find it. U.S. military has now attacked Iranian oil tankers, exchanges of fire.
I hate to break it to you, but one comment about the ESF, I don't know if, with the amount of topics he goes over in a stream, I don't know if he looks into it. Maybe someone in chat does, though.
I'm surprised they've been doing that. They haven't been doing that.
And if they do look into it, maybe they'll bring it up too. And if enough people bring up something of saying ESF, you're like, what the fuck's ESF? And they'll finally look into it.
The whole time. Iran's already rebuilding the bridge destroyed. I bet they are. We rebuild, but we do not forget. That's why you got to keep bombing them.
Okay, next comment that's driving. Now that's why you have to keep bombing them. Okay, first of all, not once, not a single time in history has regime change been accomplished through bombing alone. Going back to World War II, World War I, before that. I mean, you can look at, there have been some really impressive air campaigns, like, especially during the World War, like Germany bombing the UK for months and months on end to try to get them to submit and to regime change. Didn't work. The Allies bombed Germany for months and months on end, destroying everything before D-Day, and it didn't work. D-Day was necessary. We need to go in with boots on the ground to regime change Germany. It's the same like that everywhere. Any air campaign you can think of never has accomplished changing a government without some type of ground operation combined with it. And we, in Iran, there is no ground operation. That means the chances of regime change in Iran is zero. Zero right now. Because there are no boots on the ground. And so why do you think we should be bombing the Moscow? What exactly are we supposed to accomplish? You think that dropping a couple more bombs on them will, for the first time in history, accomplish regime change? Is that the ridiculous concept you believe in? Oh. Then there is the escalation risk. During the first 40 days of the war, Iran, without fail, mirrored any damage they took. Like, we bombed a desalination plant, they bombed a desalination plant in the Gulf. We bombed an LNG plant, they bombed an LNG plant, etc. Now, Iran has said, if it starts up again, we will bomb 4 critical targets for every one of our critical targets that are hit. That means if we restart this war, we start bombing, like Asmongold says, very quickly, the entire Gulf will go up in flames. That means no oil coming out of here for years. Like 3 to 5 years it would take to rebuild it if it's all destroyed. You're talking $300 a barrel oil. You're talking like $15 a gallon gas in the United States. It's devastating. The world economic, it's a Great Depression. Never seen before global depression is what follows. And a global depression with rising prices, the worst economic pain you can imagine all over the world. And that's what happens if we just keep bombing them, like Asmongold says. And I mean, what exactly are you thinking? What do you hope to accomplish by bombing them? Destroying the entire Middle East? By the way, here, let me just to make this entirely clear. This Iranian retaliation strikes in Gulf countries. This is all the days of the war up until the ceasefire. You notice something here. It's pretty high at the very beginning, right after Supreme Leader dies, because they're understandably angry. After that, it's more or less consistent. They were pacing themselves. There was no running out of ammunition target the Gulf states. They have the ability. They mirrored every damage they took to the Gulf states without fail, and that's what this shows. The entire Gulf goes up in flames if we restart this war.
Yep, I bet they are. This is exactly why I said, like, you can't let these guys go. The U.S. military just conducted strikes in southern Iran, so they bombed this airport right here. Or sorry, the
because he's missing some critical facts. One thing he just said was he actually spoke the words, well, now it's 139 ships crossing the Strait of Hormuz. That's not what's happening. There's like less than 10 ships. And he also thinks we should continue bombing Iran. And I was just showing that Iran mirrored every damage it received to the Gulf countries. Like, we bombed a desalination plant, they bombed a desalination plant. And now they've said publicly that any damage that we do to Iran this time, if the war starts up again, they will hit 4 critical oil facilities in the Gulf. If the war starts up again, the entire Gulf will go up in flames. That's no oil from there for years. That's $300 a barrel oil. That's economic collapse worse than the Great Depression worldwide with rising prices. The entire world gets completely fucked over. And it's just not an option. I cannot describe how bad it would be. I think I saw one video that very short and explains how bad it would be. So, yeah, this is the one.
If Trump were to escalate and the result was a mass destruction of the hydrocarbon physical infrastructure of the Gulf region, the consequences would be, I would say, in excess of anything we have seen since the Second World War. And I think Trump has probably heard that in the last.
What do I think about not having money to sustain their economy? How long do you think they can keep that up? Well, the thing is, for a month and a half after the war started, Iran exported records amount of oil at record prices. That means they were making bank for a month and a half before Trump put in the blockade. Now, that's the thing. The strategy of doing the blockade is, like you said, is to starve them, to make their oil shut down, to make them run out of money. That is the type of thing you would want to do day one of the war. You don't want them to export oil at record prices for a month and a half. Then you decide to try to starve them and make them run out of cash. It's not a good strategy. That is one problem with this war is Trump thought it'd be over in like 3 days. And he was telling British Prime Minister, oh, your aircraft carrier is arriving next week. Well, it'll be over by then. And there was no plan whatsoever if it lasted longer than that. The ships the ships weren't in the area when the war started. But my point is, if you bomb Iran's supreme leader, you must have a plan to deal with the closure of the Strait of Hormuz beforehand. That means you have the ships in the region to do this blockade day one, so you can start pressuring the Iranians. You don't let the Iranians export oil at record prices for a month and a half, then put the blockade. So that is one of the biggest problem with this war is there was no preparations. Trump just put the assets in place to bomb the supreme leader and had nothing else there. That's why we spent weeks bringing in troops and ships to the region, and so we could then do this blockade. Those ships and troops should have been in the region before you bombed the supreme leader. It wasn't possible to block it's very possible to have destroyed some military infrastructure first before it's safe enough to create a blockade. No, the biggest problem, like right now, U.S. has, for 2 ships, attacked them with jet fighters and shot missiles at their rudders to disable them. You can do that. You can, there's nothing you need to do to establish safety before that. And even if you take a day or two at the start of the war to take out anti-air defenses, sure. But there's no reason this blockade couldn't have been set up right when the war started. That's the problem. Trump didn't have a strategy or plan at all. Here we go. It's very possible they wouldn't be able to take out any leaders. If you remember, negotiations were going on for like 3-4 weeks before Trump bombed the supreme leader. He had time to bring in an extra aircraft carrier because they felt one wasn't enough to bomb the supreme leader. If they had time to bring in an aircraft carrier, they had time to bring in all these other ships at the same time. The problem is Trump thought it would be like Venezuela. It would be over in a weekend. And so he didn't prepare for the possibility of Iran not collapsing and regime changes. And that is why we are in this horrible situation. And Iran, all it has to do is hold the Straits of Hormuz closed 6 months. And that fucks over the global economy so much that Democrats win the midterms and Trump gets impeached. In other words, Iran has a way to regime change Trump. That's how bad a situation Trump's in right now. And you also see, as I react to this, I'll explain all the different points that why I think Asmongold is a disaster on it. I need to hear him say the things to get me annoyed and explain it. We'll get to it.
The water port, U.S. military carried out. Yeah, there's more of this. This is from the Iran. Following the aggression of the invading U.S. Army against Iranian oil tanker, the enemy's aggressor units in the Strait of Hormuz area came under Iranian missile fire.
Well, I watch the people I watch are retired military analysts that have focused on this their entire lives, and I'm also often repeating their points, and they are qualified to have these opinions, and it's also common sense. This is United States of fucking America. If we prepare beforehand, we can prevent Iran from exporting oil for months and a half at record prices. That is something the United States of America has the power to do if it prepares beforehand. America is a superpower.
Yeah, I bet they were. Yeah, is there more of this?
We won't let that happen. And so we're dealing with people that want to make a deal very much, and we'll see.
They
whether
want to
or
make
not
a
they
deal?
can make a deal
Apparently
that's
not.
satisfactory to us.
Also, Iran doesn't want to make a deal. Okay, it's willing to make a deal on its terms, but what Iran wants is to not be attacked and bombed again. And the way they do that is by inflicting a loss on Trump. Like something like he's forced to accept terms and make it clear to everyone it's a loss. Because if they give Trump a way to declare victory, then in 6 months, another year, Trump is going to attack Iran again. I mean, that's what happened after the 12-day war last year. And if Iran gives him an easy way out, he'll attack Iran again. I mean, so they need to, that's why they're holding the Strait of Hormuz closed to hurt the world economy until that hurts Trump politically. They're trying to establish deterrence, to establish a cost to attacking Iran. And when the war started, they could still evacuate schools. Why do you think they didn't? Because it was a surprise attack. That school was bombed. The negotiation was still going on. There was, it was, people didn't know that the war had started. The school was bombed in the very, very first few hours. Afterwards, of course, the schools would be closed, and that's why you didn't have any other school disasters like that going forwards. But on the first day of a surprise attack, was Iran supposed to cancel school during the entire 3-4 weeks of the negotiations on the possibility of a United States attacking? You can't do that. You can't keep closed schools for a month just because the United States might attack. So that's that was just a tragedy with the schoolgirls.
We have it very much under control. The blockade is unbelievable. The Navy's been incredible. The job they did, it's like a wall of steel. Nobody goes through. In particular, the Iranians, they're not getting anything through.
The school was 15 years ago, 15 years ago, it was a military installation. So at one point in some of our targeting data for attacking Iran, it was a valid military target. What most likely happened is records weren't updated. People didn't check like Google Earth or something and see that it's now a school. And so we struck that school. That's how that happened, most likely.
One way or the other.
Invading, we're in international waters. Yeah, of
and we'll
course.
see whether or not they are agreeing. And if they don't agree, they'll end up agreeing shortly thereafter.
Yes, they end. But they maybe didn't get organized. 1 hour it's somewhere else in the country where far enough away for you not to hear the bombs. They might have not gotten the news yet. 1 hour is still a fairly short amount of time. And the supreme leader, that first strike, kill all Iranian leadership. There was chaos. In the warning schools was figuring out who was the leader now and who they should be taking orders from. That was a priority, not warning schools across the country in case they might be attacked. It's not something that would be done in the first few minutes of Iran being attacked.
Mm-hmm. So that's the way it is. And I thought you might want to have...
No, from what I've heard is the building was used as a military facility 15 years ago. It was then converted into a school about 15 years ago, and since then has been used as a school. And I think some of the targeting data we used to pick targets in Iran was old because of this plan to bomb Iran. They've had a list of targets to go after for years. And this is one case where the military facility became a school and records weren't updated. It happens in war. It's not great. It's terrible that it happens, but it's not something that I fault the U.S. military for. I think there should have been some type of apology or acknowledgement on the U.S.'s part. But the actual hitting, that bad things happen in war.
Now the fake news is all happening.
Is that okay? So let me see what this is. Terrorists were identified. Drone footage showing the elimination of 2 Iran.
From what I understand, the school, it was within a mile of a military base, but it wasn't right next to a military base. It's the reason it was targeted is that 15 years ago it used to be a military facility. You can't I mean, you can't blame Iran for changing a military facility into a school. I mean, it's not something you do every day. In this case, they decide to build a new military headquarters, and the old one was converted into a school. It's just part of how countries operate. And you can't blame them for that. How would they know that the United States would have old targeting data and end up killing all the schoolgirls there later?
Backed Hezbollah terrorists. Good. U.S. attacked 2 Iranian vessels. I'm surprised they even have any boats left.
Yes, it does say that in the Geneva Convention. But you know that when this war started, we evacuated all our military bases in the Middle East, or all non-essential personnel, and put them up in hotels. And that's sort of using civilian infrastructure. And that's, you read any, because our bases are so damaged there, right now our military personnel are still conducting operations from civilian areas like hotels. And so, yeah, I'm sure there are cases of Iran putting military facilities next to civilians ones, but the United States sort of doing it too a little bit. Also, one of the leaders that was killed after the initial strikes in the following days, after they did the parade and they came out and Israel then used that to target them. Israel bombed an apartment building where one of the leaders was in. Killed 500 people to kill one leader. An Iranian leader choosing to live in an apartment building, that's normal, but destroying an entire apartment building just to ensure you kill. Yeah, so I don't harp on war crimes. I don't usually talk much about that because both sides commit them in a war. That's reality.
At all. Yeah. So the UAE attacked Iran? Like, I'm not even sure if I believe this. This is crazy. Dubai's in massive trouble. Next few weeks could be catastrophic. United Arab Emirates just attacked Iran. In response to repeated attacks against UAE, the Emirati Air Force. Oh, shit. I don't know. I'm really trying to think about this. Is this the first Gulf country?
No. They attacked Iran right before the ceasefire. They attacked right here. Yeah, they attacked an oil facility right here, the Gulf states, on this island. Yeah, right. This one right here. All these, see the storage tanks for oil? They attacked this. So it's not the first time.
That has, like, actually... I know many of these countries have done defensive measures. Is this the first one that's taken an offensive measure against Iran? I think...
Well, Asmongold's chats... again, it was one strike 2 days before ceasefire, which is, like, now 4 weeks ago nearly. So I can understand chat not knowing it.
It is, right? Yeah, I mean... Because okay, wow. Saudi Arabia attacked Yemen? What?
No, that's not true. I don't believe it.
So are they just getting packed up now? UAE and Saudi have wanted to do this for a while.
Thing is, okay, why he's a disaster, and I just remembered one other key reason, is he never talks about what the economic impact of this is going to be. We are now 2 months into the Strait of Hormuz being closed. We're in for a recession, at the minimum, even if everything was fixed today. And he doesn't talk about it. Just this ships that go through the Strait of Hormuz, what it normally is, what it is now. This huge amount of economic damage. Even if it was open today, it wouldn't jump back to where it was supposed to be immediately. There's a lot of places that have damage. There are wells that have been shut in that need to be with several weeks to reopen. He's so cavalier about it, despite this is the world economy heading off a cliff. And the Strait of Hormuz, not only is it closed, but look at the betting markets. No one thinks it's going to be open soon. So we're going to be in one of the roughest summers that we've had in decades since the 2008 financial crisis. This is going to be the worst since the 2008 financial crisis. And he's very chill about it.
I bet they have. That's not new.
It didn't have to happen to people like Trump or Coleman. Possibly, but my thing, yeah, the way I see this war playing out is Trump is going to have to capitulate to Iran eventually. The rest of the world, this is what I see. There's two paths out of this. One is escalation. The entire Middle East go up in flames. The entire world is fucked. It's not really worth discussing. It's the worst case scenario. The best case scenario is basically the Strait remains closed for 2-3 more months. The economic pain gets so bad that the entire world gets together and basically twist Trump's arm to capitulate and surrender to Iran. Now, a war where you lose the war is never a good war to start, is my main argument. We have no way of forcing the Strait of Hormuz open. And the Strait of Hormuz leverage is incredible. And that is one of the main problems with this war. So you can't bomb Iran's supreme leader without an ironclad plan to deal with the closure of the Strait of Hormuz. Or you end up a scenario where the United States is losing, which is not what you want. You have to... Iran has never closed Strait of Hormuz in all of its 47-year history, this Islamic Republic of Iran. And the reason they couldn't is the world would never have accepted it. It's China and Russia, which back Iran would be, no, you can't do that. But when we bombed the supreme leader, we gave them a justification to wield the most powerful weapon they had, that they normally, under normal circumstances, could never have used. And that is why I think bombing supreme leader was a mistake. The closure of Strait of Hormuz is going to kill more people than any nuclear bomb ever could. Picture again. Millions will starve next year because of the lack of fertilizer that's going out right now during the growing season. You're going to have the lowest crop harvest in decades. Prices will spike and the poor will starve around the world. And you can't expect me to think that that's a good thing.
Oh, okay. I thought you meant like it just happened. I was like, what the fuck? Iran announced that it targeted the U.S. intelligence center and oil refineries. Let me see this.
Oh, if you're talking about what else besides gas prices, you have heating natural gas. Next winter is going to be absolutely, Europe is fucked. Absolutely fucked. This was a cold winter. Their reserves are already low. They've cut themselves off from cheap Russian natural gas. They're now cut off from oil, from 25% of the world's natural gas from Qatar, another cheap source. Only thing left is the United States that has tried to fill both those gaps. And the United States, once we get close to midterms, is going to put export restrictions on natural gas to keep prices down in the United States. It's every time in history something extreme like that has happened, there have been export restrictions. Trump wants to win the election. He's going to do it. And so Europe is not going to have that either. And so next winter, they're going to be paying like 3-4 times normal to heat their homes during winter. It's going to be an absolute disaster. So just throwing that out there of other impacts of all this.
Oh, it's like lagging out or something. 1200, best missile defense system in history, the Patriot. What is that? What Iran's destroying? I don't know why it's not loading for some reason. It's really confirmed.
Oh yeah, there's also the fact that we've lost all these military bases across the Middle East. We've lost like these advanced radar system. Iran, we found out, now has a Chinese satellite. That's how they were so precise in their targeting. And they took out all, like, one of them was like $1 billion satellite, sorry, not satellite, radar array that we use for missile defenses. And yeah, you can tell the war is not going well when we removed the THAAD system from South Korea to bring it over to Israel. That is the war not going well.
UAE attacked Iran. I believe war's direction will change. I feel like that's already what was happening. The UAE is set to declare war on Iran. I think that the UAE, this is like my CENTCOM statement. Okay, I'll pull that up and find it. I think the UAE attacking Iran is actually really, really important.
If the United States has these bases, at least. If the United States is, as part of the agreement to end this for Iran to open Strait, is supposed to dismantle its bases in the Middle East, then doesn't that leave America in a weaker position? That's the thing. I don't see any end to this. It doesn't end. Trump will have to make serious concessions to Iran to get the Strait of Hormuz open again. And at some point, the economic pain will get so great that the rest of the world will force him to do it. So, the supreme leader that was killed was the one thing that was stopping Iran from getting a nuclear weapon. He's the one who issued a fatwa against it. And it's like religion, it's a serious matter. If you have your Pope issue an edict against making nuclear weapons, that is, North Korea got them. And they're less advanced than Iran. Iran could have gotten nuclear weapons if it wanted to, if it had seriously pursued them. It has a huge number of engineers and nuclear scientists. But now that we've killed the supreme leader, I think it's much, much more likely that Iran gets a nuclear weapon. So the possibility of that has gone up enormously. I don't think that's a good thing, a good outcome.
And let me explain the reason why. It totally destroys the narrative that this entire thing is being pushed by Israel.
It was never just Israel and United States. These bases across the Middle East, they were used to bomb Iran. They're air bases. Why do you think we have air bases here? All along, right next to Iran. It was to use them to go in and bomb Iran. And we did. And that's why Iran targeted the Gulf states. You have an air base that U.S. planes take off from and then drop bombs and kill Iranians. Then your country, if you're allowing that to happen, is a party to the war. So the narrative of it being just Israel's war, no, the Gulfs were involved in this from the beginning.
Because the UAE has nothing to do with Israel. Like, it's a Muslim country, like the United Arab Emirates.
The UAE has a U.S. naval base, a U.S. air base. It is basically one of our vassal states. The United States, if Israel gets the United States to attack Iran, of course, our puppet state in United Emirates is going to attack too.
It's like, really, if the UAE is attacking them, very clearly this is not, the Jews controlling everything, right?
I take statements from Iran with a big grain of salt. Some basic things, like they say they fired X amount of missiles, and I can verify that they did fire that amount of missiles, and I'll believe that.
For oil, no. Well, what I'm saying is that it removes the...
But yes, I don't believe Iranian claims that they hit U.S. warships that they make very often. So no, it might have landed one glancing blow at some point in time. There's no way to verify that because there's no civilians around with phone cameras. But they've not done. Yeah, I still think on average they probably haven't.
Like, I mean, anybody who's still saying that now is a retard, right? I mean, like, what? Yeah, I think they're totally retarded. The UAE and Israel.
Who's retarded?
Like, I mean, anybody who's still saying that now.
That this is Israel's war? Well, it's maybe not entirely, but in big part, this was Israel's war. It was Netanyahu who went to the White House and pitched the idea for this war. The idea did come from Netanyahu. It's not, Trump didn't decide, one morning, wake up, I'm going to bomb Iran. No, this idea was pitched to him by Netanyahu. Maybe he made a decision to go along with it, but if Netanyahu hadn't come to the White House and made that presentation, the Iran war wouldn't have happened. You need to have someone to pitch the idea, and that was Netanyahu.
Is a retard, right? I mean, like, what? Yeah, I think they're totally retarded.
This has been reported on. It's fact. Netanyahu went and made presentation, and that's what convinced Trump to attack Iran. Yes, I don't think Netanyahu controls Trump 100%, but he is the one who pitched the idea of attacking Iran. That is fact.
The UAE and Israel work very closely together. Well, of course they work closely together. I mean, many of these countries work together generally.
You have to understand, 50 years ago, there was a Shah of Iran. He was a U.S. puppet. And there was a great video that had a summary. First, you had a Republic of Iran. And one of the prime minister there said, okay, well, shouldn't Iranians, control Iranian oil? And so the British, who controlled Iranian oil at the time, went to the United States, and the CIA did a coup, and they installed the Shah. And then, for years, the Shah of Iran ruled brutally with a secret police, not democratic. It's rather horrible. And then he was overthrown because he was extremely unpopular. And ever since then, and what did we do right after this happened? We told Saddam Hussein, we prodded him to invade Iran. That was the Iraq-Iran war. And there are thousands of Iranians died in that. But when Iran eventually started winning that war, because Iran is 4 times the size of Iraq, the United States gave Saddam Hussein the knowledge, the precursors to make chemical weapons, which he used to gas hundreds of thousands of Iranians. Hundreds of thousands. It was just like the war in Ukraine is U.S. proxy. Now, back then, Saddam Hussein was our proxy, was CIA proxy. And he gassed hundreds of thousands of Iranians. That is why Iranians a lot of older Iranians don't much like the United States, is because we help murder tens of thousands of their civilians. No, sorry, hundreds of thousands of their civilians. You can look into that. It's probably Saddam Hussein gassing the Iranians is proven fact, and there are CIA documents that show that we provided targeting data. We were cooperated with it all along while it was doing it. And so, yeah, I'm not saying the Iranian Republic, the Islamic Republic was great or anything, but they do have a legitimate reason to dislike it, and we do not have their best interests at heart. The United States, no, we want to put in Trump was putting in the son of the Shah as leader of Iran. Oh my God. So, yeah, the United States has not always had the most noble of intentions in the Middle East.
Right? But what my point is that it's no longer just the Jews having ownership over this. I think this will make it a lot harder to make that argument whenever you have other Muslim majority countries that are at...
Yes, Netanyahu has been saying 2 weeks. Iran is 2 weeks away from a nuclear weapon for 30 years. He has been saying there are video compilations of it on YouTube. Netanyahu talking about Iran's nuclear 2 weeks away. So...
attacking Iran offensively. I think this is a massive difference, huge difference against Iran, right? And so many misinformation. Yeah, they're intrinsically linked.
It's dangerous because it gives Iran even more incentives to target the Gulf states and their infrastructure. And we really want to avoid that worst case scenario where we lose all the oil from the Gulf, because we really, truly are completely fucked if that happens.
UAE needs the world more than the world needs them. Well, I think most countries are like that. So this is what CENTCOM just posted. Mm-hmm. CENTCOM protects U.S. warships transiting Strait of Hormuz. The U.S. forces intercepted...
Trump said himself that he took advantage of the opportunity because all the leaders were in one place. All the leaders were in one place. They were at the home of the supreme leader. He wasn't in a hidden bucket or anything. He was at the compound where he's lived for years. He wasn't hiding. And the reason all those leaders were gathered is because we, the Americans, made a proposal, a final negotiation proposal to avoid the war. And we presented that to them, and they were all meeting to go over this proposal. And then we bombed them. So the media tries to portray it as we did some incredible thing by locating all these leaders and killing them. We gathered them all together by providing them with a fake deal to avoid the war. So I'm not going to say it's war. Yeah, if you want to take out Sunni or whatever, but don't try to portray it as some masterful, stroke of intelligence if you go use that strategy to kill all Iranian leadership. Betraying someone in negotiation doesn't require a huge amount of intelligence or skill.
Iranian attacks and responded with self-defense strikes as the U.S. Navy-guided missile destroyers. Iranian forces launched multiple missiles, drones, and small boats and missiles, and no U.S. assets were struck. Not a surprise. U.S. CENTCOM eliminated inbound threats and targeted Iranian military facilities responsible for attacking U.S. forces, including missile and drone launch sites. I think that's pretty obvious. You could easily expect to see that happen. And no military, by the way. Well, the thing is that Iran's military, this is what they have. They have, basically a Mosaic military.
Okay, this right here is an example of Asmongold being informed, of actually knowing facts about Iran. It's nice. It's really nice to see it occasionally. Yes, they do have a Mosaic military structure, so you can't just knock out a leadership and paralyze them. And he's going to explain it pretty well here, so I'll let him do it.
Where it's made up of individual like cells of people that are all operating autonomously under like a prior directive. Like that's what it seems.
Well, my problem is war is just going to hurt United. If we fail to prevent Iran from getting a nuclear weapon, if the Strait of Hormuz is now under Iranian control, and we fail to accomplish any of our objectives in the war, I mean, yes, killing the supreme leader, we did that, but anything else, all the other objectives, I think we're going to fall short of what we wanted. Is that a win? And I hate to say it, but that supreme leader, he was the one who was against Iran getting the nuclear weapon. And I think that killing him is like opening the door to Iran getting the nuclear weapon. And I'd say there's 50% chance at this point that Iran goes nuclear in the next year.
Like is happening is that like artists, well, it's almost like basically they were all in a room like maybe a year ago, and they said, okay, if we get...
Well, they had uranium enriched up to 90%. Well, why didn't they go 100% and build a bomb? Why did they stop at 90%? Because there was no fatwa against enriching to 90%. So those in Iran who wanted the bomb, they're not going to disobey the fatwa, but they're going to prepare everything they can just in case there's a new supreme leader who changes his mind at a future point in time and they enrich to 90%. That's what's going on. It makes no sense to enrich to 90% and then stop there if you're actually going for a nuclear weapon. I mean, the nuclear agreement collapsed years ago during Trump's first term. Why during all that time, didn't Iran make a nuclear weapon? It's because they weren't pursuing one. All like CIA assessments agree on that.
Big Mitchum.
Well, we did give a fairly good reason to get one now, yes, because no one attacks North Korea. And if they don't want to be attacked again, one surest way is to get a nuclear weapon. So it's a very dangerous situation.
Get attacked. Here are, it's like, you're playing chess.
And nice to have you here, Big Mitchum.
Here are the first 50 chess moves that you're going to make. And here are contingency plans for X, Y, and Z thing, right? That's what I think is basically happening. It's called a terrorist network. Well, I'm like the definition.
Terrorist networks, if it's government that's doing it, it's just a Mosaic defense plan. It's just a strategy for your military command structure. Terrorist organizations are they're not part of states. They're the independent organizations, not backed by any states. So it's different.
Definition is not really relevant. Like, I think that's it. It's decentralized, like communist. Yeah, I think that, I mean, and if you were Iran, that's what you would do, right? I mean,
yes.
That's what I would do, right? So it's not like it's crazy that they did.
They knew that we might knock out their leaders. So they'd been preparing for this for 20, 30 years. And so they knew that their leaders might die. So they prepared this command structure in anticipation from that. And it worked. Iran set out like record numbers of missiles in the hours after the leader was killed. So there was no paralysis in the military command structure. They knew what they had to do, and everyone did it.
This at all. Problem is, CENTCOM doesn't want to escalate the war, show everyone your destroyers that Iran struck. Yeah, right. And so this is... Yes,
if a state is funding a group of people that you know will be terrorists and attack some areas, you're effectively responsible for it. They are... thing is, Iran is allied with Hezbollah and the Houthis. And so when your allies, just like the United States gives its allies weapons, Iran gives its allies weapons. And yes, your allies can then use those weapons, and then you're indirectly responsible for what they use it for. The Houthis attack ships in the Red Sea because of what happened in Gaza. It wasn't like they just decided one day to wake up and decide to start attacking ships. They decided to do that. They might have, maybe their decision to target ships was supported by Iran, but they are allies of Iran. They aren't like, Iran doesn't control them 100%. Just like Hezbollah is allies. Yeah, you can blame indirectly some of what those groups do because they are supported by Iran. Yes. Yeah.
Finally happening. I'm not surprised at all. But honestly, I was surprised they even stopped the bombing in the first place. But
Okay, surprised they stopped the bombing in the first place. Asmongold does not know about our situation with our ammunitions. Like, we've used 50% of all Tomahawk missiles the United States has worldwide in this Iran war are gone now. 50%. And so we need some of those missiles to deal with, for example, say, China going after Taiwan. We can't afford to have that go to zero. We were critically low on all types of munitions. Chinese military experts take stock of U.S. munition weak spot exposed by Iran war. Last round, the status of key ammunition at the Iran war ceasefire. Here we go. Estimated use in the Iran war, 1,000 plus. Estimated pre-war inventory, 3,000. More than 50%, like, huge number. JASSMs, look at how much we used there. We were running out of missiles. We couldn't go on for a month and a half at the current rate we were using them. We would have just run out. That's why we needed the ceasefire. And Iran, meanwhile, it's the missiles. It has the tunnels full of missiles, and it has like tens of thousands of drones. It would take them a lot longer to run out. That's why the war wasn't going in our favor.
yeah, it looks like now we've got.
And so when Asmongold said, I don't understand why we stopped bombing them, this is the reason we stopped bombing them. We were running low on everything. Critically low. Like Patriot missiles, 50%, look at that. 2,000 to, 1,000. And the time to replenish that, 42 months. That's years to replenish all of these. Delivery time, that's delivery, the time it would take to bring this back up to this number is this. And you're talking 3+ years in all of these. The United States has never been weaker militarily because of our depleted ammunitions. We were in a terrible position to, like, for example, deal with China now. So one consequence of this, it's entirely possible that China decides to go after Taiwan. And if we lose Taiwan because we decide to attack Iran, would you still think it's worth it to attack Iran?
Got even more of this. Attack. See if I can pull this up. Ukraine steps up strikes on Russia. Wait, Ukraine is attacking Russia more now too? I didn't see that. Yeah, I didn't see that at all.
It's not a good position. We are supposed to be a superpower that keeps the world peace. We should not have this level of critical drawdowns of weapons. And we used all this weaponry and we didn't cause regime change. If we use the rest of it, do you think that would succeed in causing regime change? Something that's never happened in history before? Of bombing alone is causing regime change?
UAE sent the Iron Dome. Israel sent the UAE. Israel.
No, then no, it wouldn't be worth it. Depends on what you get out of it. Yeah. And it's not guaranteed China is going to go after Taiwan. Yes, we are, like I said before, the THAAD missile system removed from South Korea to Israel, that weakens the defenses around China. It's not there. They've also drawn down inventories of interceptor missiles in Taiwan and Japan to move that to the Middle East too. So the defenses of Taiwan have never been weaker than they are today. Not guaranteed China will decide to go after it, but it's a window of opportunity they're probably not going to have again. So we'll have to see.
Sent the Iron Dome to the UAE. Yeah. Do you have the Great Mount? I don't even know what that is. USA said this isn't a war.
Yeah. Russia produces missiles like 10 times faster than the United States, and China produces missiles 10 times faster than Russia. China is a manufacturing powerhouse. If get into any type of protracted war with China, they'd outproduce us in everything military. the time where we can deal with China effectively is the years is it will no longer be possible to realistically deal with China if everything stays on current tracks.
You start though, check that. I haven't seen that anywhere. Yeah, I didn't see that like one way or another way. First footage coming out of Iran showing the strikes over. So this is over Tehran. World War 12 is coming. Yeah. Holy.
Let's hope that it doesn't. World War 3. Why World War 12? Do you know what that was about? World War 12?
I do think it's really important to get rid of the Iranian government. I do.
Yes. But it's not an option. Like, how? Like I've said before, bombing campaigns alone have never produced regime change, ever, in human history. It's not going to start happening this time. So, and Trump isn't willing to put war on the ground. That's another problem. Critical problem with this war. If you start a war with very little public support in a democracy, you have no ability to take casualties. I mean, if let's say the United States took 3,000 U.S. Casualties, I think the war would end. People would revolt because some woman said World War II. Oh, World War 11. Oh, I see. Thanks for filling me in on that, Jumbo Jack. I didn't understand the World War 12. Yeah, that's funny. Yeah, so that's Trump is limited. He can't do any type of ground operations because this is the era of FPV drones. Iran has them. We know that. Hezbollah has them. If Hezbollah has them, of course Iran has them too. And there's death like crazy on the battlefield. We know that from Ukraine. So any type of ground operation would involve a lot of U.S. soldiers dying. And if you start a war with no popular support, there's no ability to take that. The other problem is that to mobilize like 100,000 plus troops would take over 6 months. And with the minimum you need to deal to even try to secure Strait of Hormuz probably be like 100, 200,000 to secure all the area around the straits, so that ships could go through this whole area. You need to take this coastline to secure the Straits of Hormuz. You need at least like 200,000. It takes 6 months, and 6 months of the Strait of Hormuz being closed, the world economy is fucked. You have to have those whatever troops you need for a ground invasion ready before you bomb the supreme leader, so that you can go in and try to secure the Strait of Hormuz, if that's the path you want to take. And you have to have enough public support so you have the ability to take casualties without... I think it's like 28% support for the war now in Iran across the United States, or somewhere between 28 and 40, I forget. I think they were... In any case, it's really low. One of the lowest of any war. And it's just going to get lower. I mean, when gas prices go to $6, $7 over the summer... I think this war is going to become one of the most unpopular in U.S. history. This is going to kill Trump in the midterms.
I don't think you're going to have any peace in that region. Like the Iranian government, I think, is like the genesis point of a lot of this like Muslim terrorism, like Islamic terrorism. It's coming out of Iran, whether it's Hezbollah, Hamas.
9/11, there's two groups in the Muslim world. Shia, which is Iran. That's one branch. And the other branch is Sunni, which is Saudi Arabia. And the other Gulf states are more... It's mixed throughout the Gulf. But those two groups. 9/11 was Sunni, the Saudi branch that did that. Just saying that. And ISIS was Sunni too. The ISIS which genocided 1 million Christians in Syria, which is what I consider the worst terrorism in the Middle East in the last 15 years, and what I am most angry about. And that, who was supporting ISIS in Syria, that was the CIA and Mossad. They admit as much. Israel acknowledges it is helping Syrian rebel fighters. Those are the ISIS in Syria. It's in exchange for not going after the Jews in Syria. That's the region they gave. But Then this is articles about ISIS and religious genocide in the Middle East, the protests against ISIS genocide of Christians. This is articles about how it's the CIA. If you thought the ISIS war couldn't get any worse, just wait for more CIA. It's talked about how the CIA has been secretly arming Syrian rebels. So we armed those that did the genocide of Christians in Syria, not Iran. And I don't see how attacking Iran is going to prevent Israel, the CIA and Mossad for funding the genocide of Christians somewhere else in the Middle East when it suits their interest. I don't see how attacking Iran will prevent that.
The Houthis, there are other militia groups in Iraq. Like a lot of the problems that we have come from Iran. And so if Iran is neutralized, those other problems not only become a lot weaker, but they'll also probably disperse in a pretty big way, right? Because they're not going to be funded. Or Pakistan, well, we have a lot more.
And I'll just mention it. Hamas was not an Iranian proxy. Qatar, Israel, with Israel's consent, Qatar gave $1 billion since 2012 to Hamas. Why Israel lets Qatar give millions to Hamas? There are any articles from the 2012 period to 2022 period. Just do a search with those dates in Google, and they will say Qatar. Every article, everyone knew that it was Qatar. Mossad asked Qatar to keep funneling cash to Gaza in de-escalation efforts. Money to Hamas, part of strategy to keep Palestinians divided. 3 suitcases stuffed with 15 million passed to Hamas in Gaza. Through the IDF. Like, the IDF literally handed millions in cash to Hamas. The cash was from Qatar, but it's still IDF handing that money to Hamas. And so, it actually, by 2022, it was $1.3 billion that Qatar gave to Hamas. And I think it's amazing that after Netanyahu supervised the transfer of $1.3 billion to Hamas, that he then goes and tries to blame Iran for October 7th. It's insane.
Connection with Pakistan than we do with Iran, very clearly. Check Jennifer and Griffin. Yeah, I'll look at that in just a second, okay? I'll pull it up. If we don't, it'll just let them raise another generation of terrorists. Yeah, exactly. Like, I mean, the longer that you, like, I mean, this problem should have been solved in 1979. Like, we should have never let this happen in the first place.
So the Shah that had secret police, it was brutally torturing and murdering people to maintain power. You think it would have been better if he had been charged. Well, the United States would have been able to keep basically exploiting Iranian oil, and so we basically owned Iranian oil at that time, and the Shah was our enforcer. Betraying the people of Iran in exchange for protection from the U.S.
And now that it is happening, every year that you let this go on is a year that it gets worse. And there's another big component to it as well, is that Iran, I think, has been engaging in a...
That's a lie, by the way. It's not getting worse materially. The reason they got Hezbollah and the Houthis attacked more recently is because the Gaza being leveled upset a lot of people in the Middle East, and yeah, they were the U.S. puppet states in the Middle East, Saudi Arabia, etc., are cooked and aren't going to do anything about what's happening with the Palestinian people, and so the Houthis and Hezbollah did attacks. But yeah, if Israel wasn't leveling Gaza, there would be a whole lot less terrorism in the Middle East. He probably meant getting closer to nuclear bomb for Iran. Yeah, they enriched to 90%. There are those in Iran who want a nuclear weapon. Yeah, there's some that openly talk about it. But the reason they didn't go from 90% to the bomb was because of the Supreme Leader and his fatwa. And now that Supreme Leader is dead. So hopefully their nuclear material is still buried under a mountain after Operation, Midnight Hammer. And so they can't easily start making a bomb. I hope that's the case. Otherwise, they might have one really soon.
massive disinformation, misinformation campaign on social media to try to reframe things and try to do different problems. And so you also have a foreign state actor that is engaged with like an active disinformation campaign on everybody inside of the West, right? So it's.
I don't know if on the topic of Iran, you should be talking about disinformation, Asmongold. You just aren't very informed on what's going on and the dangers and
not just that they're posing a threat this way, they're also posing a threat ideologically. It comes from the Quran's wrong.
Oh, but another way Asmongold is uninformed on Iran is, you might have seen Asmongold react to this video from his Iranian viewer that talked about how bad inflation is in Iran. What he doesn't know is why inflation is so bad in Iran. And United States Secretary of Treasury, Scott Bennett, explained that under oath, live on television, that we, United States, wrecked Iran's currency. Here.
Well, what we can do at Treasury, and what we have done is created a dollar shortage in the country. At a speech at the Economic Club of New York in March, I outlined the strategy. It came to a swift and I would say grand culmination in December when one of the largest banks in Iran went under. There was a run on the bank. The central bank had to print money. The Iranian currency went into free fall. Inflation exploded. And hence, we have seen the Iranian people out on the street. We will continue monitoring all the partners.
Did you catch the part where he said we shorted the Iranian rial?
December, when one of the largest banks in the central bank had to print money. The Iranian...
Basically,
I'd like to ask you, what more...
We crashed their currency. And so crashing their currency, that's inflation. The inflation, Asmongold's Iranian viewer complains about, we were probably the biggest cause of it. Our efforts to crash Iran's currency and cause inflation there. Because why did we do that? We wanted to cause unrest and overthrow the regime. Since we also, Trump admitted, handed out weapons to the protesters. So causing inflation to cause people to come out and protest, and then handing guns to those protesters seems like a rather nasty thing to do to a country. It seems like a way to get a lot of people killed.
For 700 years. I don't know about the Quran, right? I'm talking about this is Iran. The AI videos are so convincing though. Yeah. You miss it, there are Iran good people also? Well, the overwhelming majority of people in Iran are good people that don't want to have anything to do with this, right? They don't even like their own government.
I'd say that a majority of the people in Iran now support the government. The polls showing widespread discontent in Iran were done by, let's say, were funded by the U.S. government, and to have a certain conclusion. Polls not funded by the U.S. government showed that it was closer to, I think it's 70% support for the regime, and in any case, it was a majority. And you can know that's the truth because Iran didn't collapse. There was no regime change when we bombed the supreme leader. If many people actually hated the Iranian government, there would have been regime change. So I think Trump fell victim to the U.S.'s own propaganda on the likelihood of regime change in Iran.
So I think it's very obvious that's true. I think most people realize that. CENTCOM says it acted in self-defense by striking Iranian targets after Iran threatened U.S. ships. Here's what I think is really going on. I think that we are never going to know what actually happened or who actually attacked first. And I'll give you maybe a hot take. I don't care. If we didn't attack first, we should have. We should have immediately gone after these people. Like, there's never going to be a point.
Yes. But like I pointed out, everything we do to Iran has been successfully mirrored in the Gulf countries since the start of the war. We bombed their desalination plant. They bomb Bahrain's desalination plant, etc. So if we did what Asmongold wants, then the Middle East just goes up in flames because we strike critical infrastructure And Iran does what it said it would do and strikes 4 critical infrastructures in other Gulf states. And soon there is nothing left. And the Gulf states are more vulnerable to this, by the way. 90% of Iran's water actually comes from the ground, like groundwater. Gulf states like Saudi Arabia, they're deserts. Nearly all their water comes from desalination plants. And so if those start to get targeted, the entire Persian Gulf, this whole desert area becomes uninhabitable. People will have to mass migrate out of this place because without water, it gets up to like 125 degrees Fahrenheit in the summer in this place. And we're heading towards the summer. Without water, this area would become depopulated if desalination plants start getting exploded.
This is my perspective. There's never going to be a point where the Iranian government will become reasonable.
Yes, this is wishful thinking, Asmongold. Just because you want something doesn't mean you can get it. The United States isn't willing to put boots on the ground and doesn't have the political will, and it would take months to assemble the boots on the ground to send them in anyway. And without boots on the ground, there is zero chance for regime change. So what do you want to accomplish by bombing them? Do you think that they'll cave in and surrender and do everything the United States wants? We bombed them a lot of times already, and they haven't done that. Why would they start doing that now?
Or easy to work with. Any conversation, any sort of, like agreement that you have with them, they will break it the moment that.
It was Trump that attacked 2 times during negotiations. It was Trump that broke up Obama's nuclear deal. Iran was abiding by that nuclear deal. The nuclear agency, they confirmed that. So it's the ones acting in bad faith so far has been the United States. I mean, attacking twice during negotiations. What else do you want to say?
That they can. They only use agreements and diplomacy as a military strategy. Like everything is moving towards the military strategy of consolidating more power, committing more terrorism, causing.
Where's he getting this?
More problems. So it's to buy time. Yes, exactly. It's all part of it.
Well, right now, yes. After this war started, Iran just wants to run out the clock. It has the Strait of Hormuz closed. They keep that closed for 3 or 4 more months even. That's probably enough, and they win automatically. The world economy gets fucked. And Trump loses midterms, and he's impeached. I mean, if Iran war ends up with Trump impeached, and Trump will be impeached, I guarantee you, for the Iran war, because he decided to start this without authorization from Congress. And normally I'm not someone who cares overly about international law and everything, but in this case, the Democrats have been dying to impeach Trump. They tried it in all types of ways first term. They threw bullshit at him. There was nothing that was actual real. But starting a war that wrecks the global economy without consulting Congress, that is an impeachable offense. And if Congress and Democrats win Congress, they will impeach Trump for it. And it will probably work because this time they're not going to be impeaching him for bullshit. It will be something real.
Military strategy like Israel. I don't care. We're not in a war against Israel. We're in a war against Iran. Like, even if you think Israel's bad, you can't say that also Iran isn't bad. So, I mean, worst case scenario, you've got 2 bad actors. And so right now,
I hope not too. By the way, lately, with all what's going on with gerrymandering and redrawing congressional districts, that is going to help Republicans in the midterms. I still, considering all the economic pain in pipeline, I still don't think that's going to be enough, but it could limit the losses. If Democrats are fated to win a majority, I'd rather it be as small a majority as possible. The only reason I say Trump is fucked is that I see the Strait of Hormuz being closed for another 2-3 months, and at that point, I don't think any amount of redrawing districts will be enough to help him. I see a 0% chance of this happening, but if Trump were to capitulate to Iran right now and basically surrender and give in to all Iranian demands, he could get the Strait of Hormuz open, and the economic damage would be limited enough that he might win Republicans might keep the midterms. I mean, Trump is finished. I give you an idea. A Jumbo Jack. How would you react if Trump surrendered to Iran? Just as a feeler, because that's what it would take to basically save Republicans in the midterms, I think.
Focused on Iran. So again, I don't care about, but Israel. I think that the majority of the people that are doing that are just trying to protect Iran for a religious reason or for some other sort of anti-Western reason. Mm-hmm. I don't care about any of that. They did drop the first bombs, maybe, I don't know. And UAE signed a deal with Ukraine, so it's Ukraine's anti-drone tech that's defending UAE, not the Iron Dome. Oh, I didn't even know that. You cannot obtain this objective without this constant bombing. You need to attack with land troops in a region, or you're wasting your time, money, and continuing the endless sand war.
Yes, this is someone. I think you just need to say this basic thing. If you're ever confronting Asmongold about the situation in Iran, you could say bombing alone has never caused regime change in the history of mankind. I think that's a point that needs to be driven into Asmongold's skull. In that he's saying, let's bomb them some more. Why? What are you trying to accomplish? The only thing they could do is kill people, destroy oil infrastructure, cause pain. It's never going to accomplish regime change. You need boots on the ground for that, and we're not willing to do it.
Well, I don't know yet. I mean, I'm sure they have like some kind of strategy. It just depends on whether it's going to work out or not. And I don't know what they're going to do. Confirmed senior officials said the U.S. military just struck Iran's bunker. Yeah, not a surprise either. It's a naval checkpoint. I'm surprised they even have.
Well, before I came here, I thought I knew a good amount of the war. I don't know if what you say is true, but if it is, it's not so obvious that America will win. That said, retreating was never an option. Obviously, how bad it looks, it could be based on how it is. So, personally, I want someone in Iran that wants to cooperate with America and Israel and those people. Yes, if there was someone pro-United States, that'd be good. I agree with that. I'm not I'm not in any way necessarily pro-Iran. I'm not like the leftists that are like automatically Muslim good or something like that. I think this is going to have disastrous impact on the United States. It's going to be bad. Economically speaking, longer Strait of Hormuz closed, the worse it's going to get. Oil prices, there's a delay in that.
With this constant bomb.
You have to understand, it takes like months, a month and a half from a ship to get from here over to, say, Texas. And that means that when this war started, it's only been like 2-3 weeks since the last ship from the Persian Gulf arrived. We have not really started to feel the effects in the gas prices. That's going to happen over the next months going into summer. Gas prices are going to just shoot higher and higher and higher. And we know that's going to happen because right now, oil inventories in the United States are being drawn down because people around the world desperate for oil, they're buying U.S. oil and the oil that they can't get from the Gulf. And so our oil inventories are going down. And so that means gas prices are guaranteed to go up. And it's countries like the United States have a strategic oil reserve. In Asia, they have them too. But if this drags on 2-3 more months, those reserves, they can't cover it anymore. And you start to have oil prices go stratospheric. Every day the Strait of Hormuz is closed, the world economy is one step closer to the edge of the cliff, if we haven't gone off it already. And I've watched video, we've gone over it. It's going to be bad. We're going to headed for a really bad period of stagflation, even if it's resolved today.
Bombing, you need to attack with land troops in a region, or you're wasting your time, money, and continuing the endless sand war. Well, I don't know yet. I mean, I'm sure they have like some kind of strategy. It just depends on whether it's going to work out or not. And I don't know what they're going to do.
Yeah, look on the bright side. Maybe if the economy collapses, we'll get off Fiat and have a better standard of living again. Yes, but that'll take years. It'll be an inflationary spiral, stagflation, like there was in the 1970s, with like double-digit inflation. And that will cause places around the world to stop using the dollar because it's losing value so fast. And the dollar, 95% of the dollars that exist in the world are abroad, are used, like Iraq uses the dollar, Syria uses the dollar, all the places where we've destroyed the governments, like Libya, they use the US dollar as their currency. Problem is, if all those dollars come back to the United States, that causes inflation. And that's not going to happen until we have double-digit inflation, which then people will start saying, let's use a currency that's not losing value so fast. And countries like Iraq will decide, okay, we'll maybe have our own currency and send these dollars back to the United States. And every time a country does that and sends a batch of dollars, physical dollars, back to the United States, it'll cause another wave of inflation. And that, I think, is the spiral that brings down the dollar eventually. But this is something process takes years. You can't switch your currency instantly. And you need like a year or two of double-digit inflation before people get fed up and start seriously consider swapping anyway. In any case, that's a longer-term problem. Near term, it's just going to be stagflation. Just high gas prices with economic pain.
Confirmed senior officials said the U.S. military just struck Iran's bunker. Yeah, not a surprise either. It's a naval checkpoint. I'm surprised they even have any naval checkpoints. Like, I thought we...
Yes, okay, I'm surprised they even have any naval checkpoints. Iran has, like, for one report, had 3,200 small boats in their navy. Their navy was always small. Iranian boats, tunnels. Actually, video is probably better. Iran's largest boat.
The Iranian Navy has created very large underground military.
This sounds... I'd rather just raw video footage than... This sounds propaganda. Seems like propaganda. I just want the raw footage.
An Iranian video. Revolutionary Guard.
Here we go.
It feels like a prophecy. It shows off so-called...
They have... Just like they have tunnels filled with missiles, they have tunnels like this filled with boats.
Floating cities.
This is their navy. This is their... This is why how they're attacking tankers and everything. And these tunnels go right up into the sea and they can just get off boats from there. And they have hundreds of those, thousands of these.
Of reinforced concrete.
So Asmongold, not knowing that, is being surprised. These videos have been going on. I saw these videos in the first few days of the war. Why does Asmongold not know about Iran's navy, which is these these small boats
tunneled deep into the granite mountains of Iran's southern coast? The Revolutionary Guard wants the world to see these rows of speedboats, small, fast, armed with cruise missiles capable of, quote, neutralizing an enemy aircraft carrier. Ships in the Strait.
They're exaggerating, of course, but they can still harass tankers. And I guess if you had 100 of them, they might be able to take out a destroyer if they all rushed in at once.
Hormuz, presumably easier targets. And the threat may include an even more stealthy waterborne attack.
Oh yeah, they got these from Russia. Submersible drones. And I think they hit like 2 tankers with them. And they're one of their options to control the Strait of Hormuz.
All that stuff up. Like, that's even surprising to me. Yeah, let's try bombs first. Yeah, I feel like bombs are working, right? I mean, it's definitely working. I mean, their amount of power and everything has been minimized tremendously. So what is this here? All the reports from
China's probably not going to do anything about Taiwan while the Iran war is going on, because it is worried. Like, it doesn't... The Strait of Hormuz being closed for 6 months, that's okay. It can deal with that, no problem. What it can't deal with is if the oil infrastructure in the Gulf goes up in flames. If this escalates. And there's no oil from here for next, like, 3 to 5 years. They don't have 3 to 5 years oil reserves. They'll get killed, their economy. They import oil. And so they want to not be in an engagement with Taiwan. They want to be able to focus on getting the Iran situation resolved first. So I very much doubt there's any chance at all that they'll do anything regarding Taiwan, at least why the Strait of Hormuz is closed and the situation in the Middle East is still so precarious.
CBS citing U.S. officials came under intense attack from Iran, fast attack boats and missiles in an engagement characterized as far fiercer than the past engagement the two vessels were involved in. Well, I think that's the reason why, is that that's the reason why they want to do a ceasefire, is they'll ask for ceasefires and other negotiations.
The very weekend we bombed the supreme leader, Trump put out the first feelers via Italy of a ceasefire, and he's wanted a ceasefire ever since. He thought this war would be over in 3 days. He wanted to do the same thing as last year, like Operation Midnight Hammer. Big bombing, and then you just walk away winning the fight. He wanted to walk away from this, from the instant after he killed the supreme leader. The problem is Iran closed the Strait of Hormuz, and he can't walk away anymore because that's wrecking the global economy. And he's been desperate for not only a ceasefire, but particularly the opening of the Strait of Hormuz since it's been closed.
So they can continue to accumulate resources.
Iran, for its part, for the first month and a half, it was exporting records amount of oil at record prices. It was completely happy with the status quo. So it wasn't interested in a ceasefire for the first month and a half. Now that we're actually blockading them, we're actually putting some pressure. I'm sure there are some people in Iran that have money to lose that want a ceasefire. But I guarantee you there's also a big part of the IRGC that just wants to inflict a cost on the United States so they don't get attacked again. So some people want a ceasefire in Iran, others don't.
And then attack again. That's what it is. Oh, well, the Western Christian, Israel's 100% more the problem. I don't know. I mean, like, at that point, like, I'm just not interested.
Again, the genocide of Christians in Syria, that is what annoys me most in the Middle East. Yeah, Gaza, it's bad. October 7th is bad. There's a lot of other bad things happening in the Middle East. But compared to that, 1 million Christians vanished. That is what annoys me. And I'm going to harp on it because that is a grudge I hold against Israel. It was involved in that. And Syria, the first thing that Israel did after the Assad regime eventually fell in Syria, you know what it did? This land right here. You see how there's different borders here? That's because Israel, this used to be the border while the Syrian Assad regime was in place. They went in and seized all this land. Israel is hungry for land. It now wants to take over all this land in Lebanon. And so many of the problems in the Middle East come from Israel's hunger for land.
In engaging with that, like, if you think Israel is a bigger problem than Iran, when Iran is screaming death to America constantly.
Well, Iran isn't seizing the land of the countries around it the way Israel is. I'm just saying, this land that Israel seized here is particularly bad because the West Bank or Gaza attacked first with October 7th, right? So they sort of had an excuse to start taking land. Same with Lebanon. Hezbollah attacked Israel because Israel attacked its ally, Iran. And so at least there, again, Israel had an excuse, or sort of, to go in and try to start seizing large parts of land. But Syria didn't do jack shit to Israel. Zero. No attacks on Israel, no nothing. But as soon as the Assad regime fell, without any excuse whatsoever, Israel goes in and seizes this huge tract of land. There's no dead Israeli citizens to justify this. It was just Israel seizing land because it sees a window of opportunity. And that I think best illustrates the problem with the current Israeli government is that it's very hungry for land.
And blowing up American soldiers for like literally years, funding terrorists that we've been trying to deal with for years. I don't want to hear about it. And I think that overwhelmingly, this is one thing that's really important to keep in mind, is that
the settler problem is not covered very well. I mean, Asmongold's community, yes, it's because it's not covered very well in media. That is one thing, is the left is disconnected from mainstream media on the topic of Gaza and settlements, but in the same way as the right is disconnected from mainstream media on topic of immigration and LGBT stuff and trans stuff. But the mainstream media is is incorrect. It's not what you want to believe in. So on the topic of, I don't agree with Hassan on most of his takes, but it's really weird. I can watch a stream about Iran or Gaza, and I'm much more on the same page with him as Asmongold on those narrow subjects. Still not completely. Like, I don't support Hamas. Hamas is a terrorist organization, but Israel funded that terrorist organization. Netanyahu funneled 1.3 billion to Hamas, and so if Hamas is a monstrous terrorist organization, what am I supposed to make of Netanyahu, which is basically its patron? It's
on social media, you're going to see a lot of people from these other parts of the world that the reason why they hate Israel isn't because of their involvement in American politics. They want to tell you that that's the reason, but they actually might just hate Jews, and it has nothing.
I'm sure there's a small minority. You know how mainstream media try to slander gamers as they're all bigots and whatever? Asmongold is actually doing that right now. He's slandering people that are anti-Israel as they're probably all bigots, so they hate Jews. No, 1 million Christians gone in Syria. Because of that, I'm not a fan of the current Israeli government. It's not because I'm anti-Jew. I have no problem with Jews whatsoever. I'm not one of the people saying Israel needs to cease to exist. I'm one of the people that says Israel needs to stay within its borders and stop funding terrorists in Syria and demolishing villages in Lebanon, etc. Just, be normal.
Nothing to do with that at all. And, if they can make American voters and the American population think that, Israel is a bad actor, then hopefully they can weaken Israel's position.
Yeah, if the one reason I absolutely won't get into the mindset of blaming the average Israeli for the action of its government is because if I did that, oh my God, the deep state, the CIA has done some truly horrendous things that the American people don't know about. And if I use that logic on Israel, then I have to hold the average American responsible for what the CIA's done abroad. And my God, I'm not sure which is worse.
Position because they have like an ideological enemy in Israel.
It's both case in the United States and Israel. I think there are a group of very not good people that have doing things that people in those countries would never support if they knew what they were.
And I'm not saying that Israel is like good, but what I'm saying is that these people aren't on your side either. These are people that would also want to demographically replace you. These are people that also think that America is full of infidels. These are people who are also, not Western culture people. Like, these are people from a different group that are trying to convince you that by going against Israel, you're being in favor of America. You're not. You're just siding with one foreign power over another foreign power. And that's what it is. Why not hate both? You can hate both.
No, it's just hold people and governments should be held accountable for their actions. You fund ISIS and ISIS genocides Christians in Syria. I'm going to hold you accountable for that. I'm not going to forget and forgive.
We're talking about Iran right now. So if you're constantly trying to reframe things around Israel, it's pretty obvious what you're trying to do. So yeah, so many Pakistani bot farms, I swear. It's not Pakistani bot
I don't live in Pakistan. Spoiler.
farms entirely. I mean, the fact is that there's a lot of people that have the internet that are in these countries that are expressing themselves and think these things. It's really just that simple. I'll see if there's anything more to this. No, military is the U.S. treated Iran like Venezuela and not that other empire? Well, I don't really know yet.
Thing is, Asmongold, I've said it, I was wrong about the time frame, but the economic pain, that there will be no avoiding. When gas prices hit $6-7 a gallon in the United States, Asmongold, he'll inform himself. He'll look into why this is happening, And he'll find out that, oh my God, it's just starting. The gas prices are going up to $8 a gallon or $9. And then he'll be like, we need to end this. His opinion on the war, on attacking Iran will change once he makes the connection of just how bad the economic pain here in the United States will be. So I thought, honestly, because Asmongold, he's watched stuff like Pizzagate, and he informs himself usually on subjects. I thought that by now in the war, he would know stuff like how the United States' ammunition is depleted, that there's stories on it, there's videos on it, and it's fact. But he still doesn't know that, for example. He doesn't know about all Iran's small boats. He was surprised that they still have Navy checkpoints. He just is very uninformed about basic facts with regard to the Iran war. And what can change that? He's not covering Iran that much these days, so I don't think it'll happen fast. So my guess is when gas hits $7 a gallon, and he starts he'll watch a video on it when that happens, for sure. And that video will actually explain how important Strait of Hormuz is and how badly we need to get it open. And I think that'll be the start of him changing his views on the Iran war.
5 of the world's greatest research minds the American people. Exactly.
Because my differences with Asmongold has nothing to do with ideology. I looked at the facts. And I think he had the same facts as I did. I think his opinion would be very close to mine. I mean, that's what it is on subjects like immigration, and we're on the same page on.
Exactly, yes. Most hit Israel because of the Gaza situation. I think that you underestimate how much of it is a religious anti-Semitic reason. They've hated Israel forever, right? They've wanted to blow up Israel forever.
They dislike and hate are different. Or if someone's not your religion, you'll have a lower opinion of them. They're not your religion. But what's hate, the actual hate that's in the Middle East, it's mainly because of Israel's actions. The actions, seeing videos, pictures of civilians, children in pain, suffering, dying. That is what influences people, and that's what makes people hate. And so the Gaza is hugely significant in making people dislike Israel. It's by far the main reason.
It has nothing to do with that. I think that for many of them it doesn't. Let me see if there's any more of this. Too crazy. If Iran continues to attack U.S. ship, we'll wipe off the face of the earth. Okay, well, apparently that's what happened. And so I'll see if there's anything else. What percentage of the world do you think just hates Israel? I have no idea. I don't really care.
And I give you the biggest proof. The biggest proof that why Asmongold is wrong on this point is because opinion of Israel has shifted enormously in the last 4 years. If it was just some inherent anti-Semitism, it should have been constant. It should have, over the last 10 years. It shouldn't have changed if that was just because of religion. But ever since Israel launched its war against Gaza, opinion of Israel has just gone down and down and down and down. That can't be explained by just religious people in the Middle East because of their religion suddenly starting to hate Israel. If that's the case, why didn't they hate Israel like 10 years ago in the same way? The opinion is turned on Israel worldwide because of Gaza. And if you try and spin any other story, you're not being accurate.
It's not, honestly, like the opinion, like that has nothing to do with me, right? I mean, like what I think the U.S. should do is the U.S. should protect the United States interests. Whether that is Iran, Israel, China, Russia, Ukraine, the Congo, or Venezuela, the focus should be around creating and protecting U.S. interests.
I agree with that principle. That's not always what the United States does, though.
That's what matters the most. It should not, like, I don't really, it doesn't matter to me, like, what other people's political opinions are on the other side of the world, or, like, who doesn't and does like it. The focus should be around making sure that we're doing what's in our best interest. We don't hate Israel because of Jews, nor do you have anything against you or the West to replace infidels or whatever. It has nothing to do with religion. Israel's a terrorist.
I think that the left speaking ill of Israel, it has to do with the general phenomenon of distrust in mainstream media that's been increasing across the United States. It's even back when, like, I was in college, there were some people, there were articles about the truth going on in like Gaza and the West Bank and the conflict, but most of the media didn't cover it. Now we have a vibrant alternative media, and it's especially on the right, but on the left, it exists now too. Hassan is definitely not deep state. He's definitely not establishment. He, on topic of Israel, he is the alternative media. Asmongold is still on the same page as mainstream media. He is the alternative media on subjects like Iran and Israel. And it's just part of that general mainstream media losing control over the credibility and of the American people. And so people turn to alternative sources like Hassan and Asmongold.
Stolen state. Well, I don't really care, honestly. Like, I have no interest and no bearing. Like, I don't want to debate with you. I don't want to argue with you, because it's just like Iran. People like this will just...
I'm frustrated in a lot of Republicans at present who are not paying attention to the people who have had it right for decades. Well, yeah, Alex Jones is one of the ones, at least he's getting more attention these days. But the people that have had it right for decades have been deplatformed, suppressed, some cases mysteriously decide to commit suicide. But since Trump has been elected, that has slowed down. Let's say a lot of attention of the establishment, the deep state, has been directed to fighting this foreign threat in the U.S. government, this Trump, and the situation has drastically improved. I mean, that's the reason I'm streaming and I'm covering this, is that now we've reached a point where something like Pizzagate can reach a wide audience. That was not possible 10 years ago. The Podesta emails were leaked that had pizza references in them. Anyone who looked at those emails could tell that was child, code word for child. I was one of them. I looked at those. Things like absolutely no way was pizza in reality. So I knew about Pizzagate over a decade ago. Why didn't the rest of it? Because there was no one like Asmongold covering it. It didn't reach anyone. The Epstein files, yes, those revealed everything, but if the media wasn't free, if you didn't have people like Asmongold covering stuff, it still wouldn't have reached anyone. It's a culmination of the Epstein files being released with all those pizza references and having a vibrant ecosystem of commentators like Asmongold bringing attention to them, and people like Elon Musk retweeting about it on Twitter. And with the world being at a point where it's possible to completely bypass mainstream media, I decided it was worth streaming and creating content again. Lot to the old things that I discovered that I want to bring up, and eventually I get the attention of some bigger content creator, and I will bring a lot of things to light. That'll be fun.
Just lie, misrepresent things, and then work and back channel against you later on. I don't care what you guys think. It doesn't matter to me. The focus should be around getting rid of Iran and making sure that Iran is not able to fund terrorist networks and terrorist
Again, I'll just tell you this much. Trump just made a proposal to Iran. And in that proposal, he dropped anything about ballistic program and anything about proxy networks. All that was in it was about the nuclear material. That is already a concession. That means his desperation to get out of this situation that he's in, he knows how much it's killing him, and it's going to kill him, these high gas prices. He wants to bring those down. And so his proposal, he's already given up on the proxy networks. Trump has already given up on that. Iranian will keep supporting proxy networks no matter what. Trump isn't pushing for that anymore. So we've already accomplishing anything on the proxy network or regime change is impossible. Trump isn't even pushing for it.
Proxies. That's what really matters. That's what I care about. I don't care about what some ideology is. I don't care about Israel, what Israel did, or I don't care about any of this. The focus should be around making sure that the Iran government is neutralized.
Iran, the currency issue, I'll say Iran wants payments in crypto and yuan because it can't use the dollar. Because the SWIFT payment system, the United States controls that. And so that is why it wants alternative currency. It doesn't particularly care if, like, Bahrain uses crypto or yuan or the dollar. It just wants a toll. From them, it just wants a toll. For itself, it's using alternatives because it has to. Because it doesn't want to, even if it could, it doesn't want to put itself in a position where the United States can seize its money at any time. So it uses alternatives. For other countries, all they care about is that when they pass the toll, the Strait of Hormuz, they pay either in crypto or yuan a fee. And I don't think that is all what Iran's primary interest in. It's not going to do anything like insisting that other countries use something other than the dollar for the sale of their oil. Because it doesn't need to. It's more important to Iran to collect the fee for reconstruction money.
So they can never threaten America or any other country, destabilize.
No, honestly, China, if it really wanted to challenge and replace the US dollar, what it needs to do is make its currency tradable. Make it so someone like me in America can open an account in yuan and buy the currency. Until it does that, it's not seriously trying to challenge the dollar. It's creating alternative payment systems to evade sanctions, but it's not currently, at least, targeting the dollar. And yeah, because right now, anyone anywhere in the world can open an account in dollars and buy U.S. treasuries easily. You can't do that with China. You can't easily buy Chinese government debt. They have a whole bunch of capital controls because they're keeping their currency undervalued.
Waterways or cause and fund terrorism around the world ever again. That is the focus. It is that singular, defined, specific purpose that I am advocating for. Everything else after that, everything else before that, I don't really care about it. That's what matters to me. Does that make sense?
What I really care about, and I honestly care about this because I watched videos of what ISIS did to the Christians in Syria. Their favorite method of execution was dropping Christians out of buildings. Like fourth floor of an apartment building, you see an old man being pushed out by a young man. You see the old man grabbing the young man's arm, and the young man slowly prying his fingers off his arm, and then the old man falls and drops out of view. It's horrifying videos like that. That's what I want to prevent happening again. And for that, Israel is the problem. Israel's the one who funded ISIS. My concern is Israel deciding to fund the genocide of Christians somewhere else in the Middle East. And this war in Iran does nothing to address my concerns. So I don't support it.
Let's try to make focus on that.
And also, it's going to be an economic disaster for the world. And it was waged in the worst way possible. In that you have to have a plan for the closure of the Strait of Hormuz if you're going to bomb Iran's supreme leader. You have to. It's just... This is going to end Trump's presidency. And because he made this one mistake.
Yeah. And so, like, it did in Afghanistan. Well, I don't know about Afghanistan. It has nothing to do with that, right? And Iran's displaced millions of Muslims in Europe. Yeah, I think that's...
Well, yeah, but Israel erasing the proof of everyone living there. They're just leveling entire villages. So, yes, they're erasing proof of Christians being there, too. But, by the way, for those who don't know, Israel has this policy of paying contractors for each building they demolish in the town they seize in Lebanon. They have these... military, bulldozers, military bulldozers, armored bulldozers that they use to demolish building, and they just level everything. It's where they want to make sure no one comes back to those areas.
Obviously true. I mean, I think very clearly that's true. Israel's interest is exactly that, and you're not alone. Well, Israel's interest is not relevant to me. If it aligns with my interests, then great. Maybe you...
I will say this is at least a good thing that he is not absolutely pro-Israel. He's just, if their interests aligned, then I'm pro-Israel. It's a good attitude to have. And the reason he's pro-Israel at all, or thinks his interests align with Israel, is because he doesn't fully grasp the situation in the Middle East.
Can work with Israel the same as it seems like we're working with the
I personally don't think Asmongold supports the genocide of Christians in the Middle East, for example. I don't think he does.
If Israel's interest isn't aligned with us, then we should focus on our own interest instead. It's great to have allies, right? It's good to have extra help in the region. I think we should take all the help we can get. It's going to be hard to displace Iran. Obviously, that's it. And I don't get it. I just want to see the IRGC gone, so my toddlers...
He thinks it's just the Muslims doing it. Well, it was. ISIS were Muslims. Problem is they were being armed, trained, organized by Mossad and CIA. Where Christians and Jews were training the radical, genocidal Muslims in Syria.
Whenever they're my age, won't be doing this again. Yeah, that's the way I feel about it. And I think that overwhelmingly there are people that are trying to effectively use Israel as a kind of like a red herring away from Iran. They don't care about Israel. They care about protecting Iran. Israel is just the tool that they're using to distract you. The main focus is that Iran is funding terrorism. Iran is bombing ships.
Yes. But again, Israel's doing that too. Passed $1.3 billion to Hamas. Funded ISIS in Syria. Why would I support bombing Iran for supporting terrorism when Israel is supporting terrorism too?
They are violating international law, and they've been doing it for years. And they also fund people that do it even worse than they do directly. Not true. You can say whatever you want. Like at this point, like I'm not going to be in the business anymore of trying to disabuse people of the notion that Iran is dangerous. If you think that they're not dangerous, then you're totally right. You think whatever you want. Like at that point, like you've clearly bought into propaganda and you're just not being rational at all. You think so? Yeah, I do. I do. I completely think so. I think that if Iran had a nuclear weapon...
You know, I'll tell you honestly, Asmongold did watch Nuck's series on, Hassan is 100% fucked. Hassan is 200% fucked. He was up to like 600% fucked at some point. Asmongold said that he seen those videos. He thought they were funny. He probably watched a majority of those videos. And that, I think, did form his views in big part about Israel and Hamas and everything. And so to the extent that Nux is uninformed, Asmongold is too. Because I remember in one of Nuck's videos, he said, someone asked him in chat if he had any issues with Netanyahu's government. He said, yes, I do have some issues. I think he could have done more to prevent October 7th, as he said. Nux, one thing, providing Hamas $1.3 billion of cash from Qatar handed to Hamas by the IDF, yes, Netanyahu could have done more than work hard to prevent. Netanyahu funded October 7th. That 1.3 billion that was used to pay for stuff and set up October 7th. Nux, I don't think actually knows about it. It's crazy.
Weapon, it would destabilize the entire Middle East, and it would cause a new...
And I think Asmongold's probably still in contact with Nux Taku, and Nux Taku is very active, and he's in defend Israel mode, and it was really embarrassing. One of those AI videos of Netanyahu where like the ring disappears, and he doesn't cover that fairly or accurately. He has an understandable bias. One of his relatives died in October 7th. But an understandable bias is still a bias, and he is not sufficiently informed on some of Israel's actions.
Nuclear arms race in the Middle East, and it would ultimately lead to more unrest and a more dangerous world. It would be a huge problem. Iran's leadership's out of their mind.
Yeah, I still don't know why Netanyahu did that. Those AI videos, they were AI. That time period, was he just somewhere where he couldn't release a video himself, or was it to test the waters about AI? Like they said, okay, let's see if we can just. I don't know, because I'm pretty sure he's alive now, because maybe he was injured at some one point and now he's not injured anymore, and that's why they did AI videos for a time. Just for propaganda, they don't want to show him like with a big gash on his face because he some debris just flew and hit his face. Maybe that was it, but those videos were definitely AI.
They might actually nuke someone, maybe, right? I mean, like when Iran is, and here's the question, right? When Iran is bombing and attacking multiple different countries that had nothing to direct.
Okay, this is one of the worst things. I have opened this tab earlier. U.S. military base in the Middle East. These aren't neutral countries. They didn't close their airspace to U.S. forces when the Iran war began. Their airspace was open. U.S. airplanes flew from bases in the Middle East through the airspaces of all these countries, and then did stuff like bomb the school girls. They killed Iranians. Yeah, I'm sorry, but if planes take off from your territory and fly using your airspace and fly into another country and kill large numbers of people from that country has a right to strike back at you. And your entire country is fair game. If a plane takes out from a Middle East base here, bombs an LNG port in Iran that produces natural gas, well, then Iran has a right to bomb the LNG plant in Qatar in retaliation. If these countries had said, no, United States, you cannot use our air base, you cannot use our airspace to attack Iran, it'd be a different story. I would be on the same page as Asmongold. I would say, yes, Iran attacking those countries when they closed their airspaces and didn't let U.S. use their air bases, yes, that is attacking an innocent third party. But no, while we know the United States used these air bases to attack Iran, it's fact. These countries are participants to the war. They're not innocent parties. Asmongold's take here is just terrible.
Do with attacking them, how can, and also putting mines in international waters just to stop anybody from going through a strait that they don't even control, right? Like they have no autonomy to control that water. That's
Yeah, we're talking about Asmongold. We've all played video games. He should understand this concept just fine. Yes, also, Asmongold has been criticizing Iran for the use of proxies. That we can hold Iran responsible for the actions of its proxies, basically its allies. Well, that same concept applies to these Gulf states. If these Gulf states, they're responsible for the actions of the United States, its allies, from its territory. You can't use the logic one time and then not the other.
International waters. So they just think that they don't have to follow the rules. What do you think the chances are that they're going to use a nuclear bomb? I think it's very, very high. So they're terrorists. Yeah, it's a terrorist government. It's a terrorist ideology.
A government that itself has never attacked another country. That, unlike Israel, hasn't seized territory from one of its neighbors. 200 years. 200 years was the last time Iran attacked another country. It is not. Yes, it has support. It has a Shia population, and so it has supported Shia groups throughout the Middle East, and helped them arm themselves and possibly defend themselves. And so it is indirectly responsible for some of the violence that Hezbollah and the Houthis down in Yemen have done. But all of the violence of Hezbollah and Houthis were provoked by Israel's actions. They didn't just out of nowhere decide to start attacking, for example, tankers through here. It was when Israel leveled Gaza. It was so if you're going to call them, it wasn't great what they were doing, but what Israel was doing wasn't great either.
And it is obviously a manifested terrorist actions. And the only way that you can approach it and do anything about it is if you go and get rid of them. There are no negotiations.
Okay, here's another bad take. It's not possible, Asmongold. That's the problem. I've said it 100 times. Air campaign alone cannot cause regime change. It never has. Not once in history. It's not going to magically start working this time. So what you're asking for is not possible. You're a flat earther here. You're no different than a flat earther. Something believes something that's absolutely impossible. So what exactly your plan? You just think the United States can drop a few more bombs and there magically be a new government in Iran? It won't happen. What you want isn't possible.
Negotiations, there is no agreements, there are nothing, you can't do anything with these.
So basically what you want is for no negotiations, just bomb Iran, and maybe the Middle East goes up in flames, and then we just bomb Iran some more and just bomb Iran, and the world economy collapses, and everyone's completely fucked, and you just bomb Iran some more because Iran's never collapsing. The regime isn't changing. It's not going to be the first government in history that regime changes because of bombs. So what exactly is your plan? Just fuck over the entire world for no purpose?
People other than wipe them out. That's it. They're pirates. Yeah, they're pirates.
That's the problem. We can't wipe them out. Unless you're saying we should use nuclear weapons against Iran. I don't think you are. But yeah, if you're saying we should drop 1,000 nukes on Iran, that might wipe them out. Yes, that's the only way, like kill everyone in Iran with nukes. It's the only way to accomplish what you're suggesting. Is that what you think we should do, Asmongold?
So everything else besides that is just a waste of time? Is this?
Exactly. Every bomb we drop is a waste of time because it's not accomplishing any of our goals.
Oh my God. So this is 30 minutes ago.
70%. There's reports that came out from CIA government. 70% of Iran's missiles are intact. We've depleted most of our ammunitions, but they still have 70%.
This seems like it's AI generated. What a surprise. It's Israel getting bombed. Many such cases.
Radical Islam, that's, again, it's our fault and Saudi's fault. Saudi, for decades, funded really radical schools of Sunni Muslim schools, especially in Pakistan and in Afghanistan. And so many generations of terrorists came from those places. Sunni is just like the Saudi monarchy is just like kings in the Middle Ages in Europe. Kings in the Middle Ages in Europe relied on Christianity to justify their rule. The church propped up and said, okay, it's the king's divine rule. The king is, better than the rest of the people. That's Sunni. That branch of Islam works the same way. Its purpose is to legitimize undemocratic royalty in the Middle East, in all these countries, all these monarchs. It's like, just focus, pray to Allah and whatever, and don't question your leaders. Don't challenge your leaders. Just focus on the infidels and going after the infidel. And that's what they preach, the Sunni version. It's meant to prop up the worst of people. And this serves the United States' interest. Saudi Arabia sells all its oil in dollars and then basically gives us most of the profits in the form of they buy our U.S. treasuries and never sell them. So it's the same thing as if they actually gave the United States the money.
He says, Iran's military statement, is this the same guy? Let me see if I can find this, if there's any more of this. What is this? Announced the 3 Navy SEALs. Oh boy. And came under Iranian attack. There's more of this. What do you think about all the insider trading your president's doing on oil? I mean, you don't really care about that. And you obviously just want to undermine Trump, right? It has nothing to do with insider trading. You don't care about insider trading. If you did.
Yeah, the more fundamental Islam, Sunni variety is not very compatible with Western values.
You'd look at all the other Democrat politicians. Like, why even engage with somebody? This is the thing, is that a lot of times people think that they're going to be able to, well, I'm going to try to use your values against you so you can agree with me that your guys are bad. No, I'm not going to do that. It's not interesting to me. I don't care about it. So again, like, because I know that these people are on.
The problems are not values, Asmongold. The problem here, with regard to you and what you believe, is facts. And that you think that we can win in Iran is just, you don't have an understanding of the facts. Just there, we can't. What are we? Our ammunitions are depleted. We dropped half our bombs, basically, on Iran. And we accomplished jack shit. Yes, we killed. One thing we accomplished, we killed the supreme leader. I'll give you that. The first day. But everything since then, we've dropped all these bombs, and they still have 70% of their missiles. They still have the ability to destroy all the oil infrastructure in the Gulf. They still have control over the Strait of Hormuz. And there's nothing we can do to change that. Because ground operations, it take too long to put in place, and we have no ability to take casualties. So we have no winning hand in Iran. So you want victory. You think we should pursue victory, but there is no path to victory. That's why Trump is floundering. I think it's going to take $7 gallon gas for you to wake up on this. And
it's bold. So why would I try to like hold on to and adhere to what I would say my principles are with people that are just simply trying to use my principles as a tool to do whatever they want? Why would I do that? It's just a game.
All right. I knew it would take me a long time to get through that video, but oh boy, it really did. I think, as I said, everything I needed to in the videos. So this will be on YouTube. Like and subscribe. Come watch and kick our Twitch, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.